going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV, and today we're coming to you from Rio de Janeiro here in Brazil. We're going to show you the top things to do. There will be timestamps below in the description so you can bounce around from location to location. Let's do this. First up, we're headed to Sugarloaf Mountain. This here has a cable car that starts at the bottom and takes you all the way to the top of this insane looking rock that is actually a landmark here in Rio de Janeiro. The reason it's called the Sugarloaf Mountain is because it looks like a mountain of sugar, because back in the day, in the early 1900s, sugar used to come from this part of Brazil and it reminded the people of sugar. The best way to get up here is definitely by cable car. There is a bit of a hike that you can do also that almost gets you to the top. People might do that also, but definitely the cable car is probably the best way to get up there for sure if you want the magical views. The price is 160 real or 31 US dollars. Next up, we're headed to the top of another monumental mountain here in Rio. It's called Corcovado. This here is an amazing lookout point, one of the best views you'll get of any big city in the world. There are several ways to get up to the top of Corcovado. You can actually hike, the trail is open year-round, or you can take a cog train. It leaves every 30 minutes and it takes about 20 minutes to get to the top of Corcovado, where you will find the Christ Redeemer statue. One way to save money is to hike up there. The hike does take about 2 to 3 hours, but if you paid for the cog train, it's about 74 real in the high season or 61 real in the low season, so prices do vary depending on when you're there. But everyone has to pay the entrance fee once you do get up there, and that's around 30 real per person. Children and seniors are free if they're under 11 and over 60. And I would have to say no trip to Rio is complete without actually going up to Corcovado to the Christ Redeemer statue, so consider this something you should do. Now we are headed to Arraial do Cabo. This is actually the blue turquoise water of Rio de Janeiro. It is a bit of a drive. It takes 2 hours and 50 minutes to get there. That's 164 kilometers, but it is worth it because look at these beaches that you get out here. The best beach while out here is going to be Penha. As you can see, this beautiful beach is definitely the top destination. Another popular beach out here is Praia Grande, but the truth is there's so many different beaches around here, you have no shortage of beaches to explore, whether it's by foot or hiking or on a boat that tours you around. Some of you may prefer to get a short-term accommodation or a hotel while here instead of having to drive back in the same day. Next up would be going to Rocinha Favela. Now I would definitely recommend going with a guide to take you there. It is considered a little bit risky, so take that into consideration, but this is actually a very cultural experience that you'll have while here at Rocinha Favela. It's the largest one in Rio. I did hesitate a bit to put this on there because it is a little bit more of a risky adventure for you to go on. When I went here, we basically drove through, made a couple stops talking to some people, and then we just left. It was kind of quick, but it is something worth checking out if you are up for the challenge. Also, Rocinha is considered the safest of the favelas, so that's something also to consider. Now from Rocinha, what do you say we go to one of the most popular beaches in the world? This here is Copacabana Beach. Considered to be one of the most famous beaches in all of the world, you will see a striking pavement pattern that's a very Portuguese style boardwalk. But here you have the most vibrant activities going on, lots of volleyball and other sports activities. Going down to the beach, hanging out. They will have vendors coming up to you offering you food. If you're looking for a neighborhood or an area to stay, this might be one of the top 3 places you'll want to stay. I would say Leblon and then Ipanema are up there also, and then there's Urca. But at the end of the day, right here in Copacabana, this is probably the premier place to stay. So if you can get a hotel anywhere near here, you'll probably be happy. So in the daytime, you're gonna have a lot of beach sand activities to do. And then in the evening time, it lights up very nicely and you can take a stroll down the road here. Most of the year it is swimmable, although there are times where they do close the beach for various different reasons. Now when I say close the beach, I mean close it for swimming. I just want to put this out there, Rio is in the southern hemisphere, so when it's summertime in the northern hemisphere, it's actually winter down here in Rio. So keep that in mind if you're looking to do a lot of beach activities. Next up, we're going to a beach just down the way a bit is Leblon. Now Leblon Lookout is where we're at right here. You get this beautiful overlook looking down into Leblon. This is also part of Zona Sul, which is Copacabana, Leme, Ipanema, and Leblon. Also, Barra de Tijuca is nearby, and that's Zona Oeste, which is West Zone. But you can see these paradise, fantastic beaches exist right here in the city of Rio de Janeiro. Next up, we're headed to Escadaria Selarón. Now, these are also known as the Seleron Steps. They were designed by Jorge Seleron, who is a Chilean-born artist, and he wanted to create these steps as a tribute to the Brazilian people. And they are actually a world-famous steps right here in Rio de Janeiro. Just a quick fun fact for you, Rio de Janeiro actually translates to the River of January in English. The steps are actually located between Lapa and Santa Teresa neighborhoods, so keep that in mind if you're looking for it on a map. There's about 215 steps measuring around 125 meters, that's 135 yards. There's also 2,000 covered tiles across here from 60 different countries around the world. Rio is actually home to over 12 million people, making it the second largest city in all of Brazil, just behind Sao Paulo. Now we're here at Ipanema Beach, one of the most famous beaches in the world, but second only to Copacabana. While here at Ipanema Beach, you can take a picture with the statue of Tom Jobim. You can visit the hippie fair, discover the girl from Ipanema Park, or go watch a sunset from Operador Stone. And off in the distance, you will see the Twin Brothers Mountain, making the sunset just that much more special. By the way, while you're here, you will notice the word carioca is used quite frequently, and that's a native language which means white man's house. Off in the distance, you will notice some islands. That is Ilhas Cagueiras. Those islands are uninhabited. And as we continue to show you all around Rio de Janeiro, I would like to remind you guys that we do have a new channel called Island Hopper TV Travel Highlights, which is actually the real-time updates as to where we are in the world at any given time. So if you guys want to come on over and get more of that real-time experience, come on over and check us out on Island Hopper TV Travel Highlights. Let's keep this tour moving. Now we're going to talk about one of the most popular festivals in all of the world, and certainly down here in Brazil. This is Carnival. The festival takes place over the span of a few days, usually just before Lent in February or March. Traditionally, people go on a fast during Lent, giving up meat, sugar, or other foods and drink. And speaking of food, let's talk about Brazilian food. While here you have empanadas. These are commonly served for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You can find them at bakeries or little cafes. Also, my favorite is going to be the Brazilian steak. I love Brazilian steak or barbecue. You can also get a variety of desserts like bolo de rollo or tapioca pancake, plenty of fruits here, and then don't forget the mojito, and then of course caipirinha, a famous alcohol here. Now here we are at Praia da Urca. This is a very famous place for nightlife and fine dining restaurants. I would actually stay in this area as probably my favorite place to stay if I could. They also have a nice walkway along the bay waterfront here called Morro da Urca, and you can see just how beautiful sunset and you can see just how beautiful it is as the sun is going down across Rio de Janeiro. Next up, we're at the Rio Star. This is in Santo Cristo neighborhood, located right here in Rio de Janeiro. It's an observation wheel, and you can go round and round. The ride is 88 meters tall with 54 air-conditioned gondolas, and each one has air conditioning and can hold up to 8 people. The price is 59 real per person. Now here we are at Museu de Amanhã, although it is also known as the Museum of Tomorrow for you who speak English. This is actually Applied Sciences Museum, which explores the opportunities and challenges humanity will face in the coming decades. And for those of you who are couples, you should try and get dance lessons. Even if you aren't a couple, you can still get dance lessons. The main dance to learn here is going to be samba. So find samba classes in Ipanema or anywhere across this city. Another dance lesson you can get is in flamenco. And if you're loving this video of South America, you should definitely check the links below so we can show you Colombia and Argentina as well. Next up is Brazilian football. For those of you who like the World Cup or watch football in general, you might know about Pele. In America, they call it soccer, but everyone else calls it football, and this is where you can watch Brazilian football, some of the best you'll see anywhere in the world. Because the World Cup was held in Rio not too long ago, you can visit the Maracanã, which is the largest stadium of over 78,000 people. And then they have a few others also with 60,000 plus seats. So get out there and watch a game if you can. Now let's talk about some of the neighborhoods where you can get culture and character. I'm going to show you Lapa right now. Another one nearby here is Santa Teresa. But yeah, they have the Lapa Arches nearby. Lapa is also called the cradle of Bohemian Rio, and the reason they call it this is because it's famous for its architecture. But yeah, as you drive around here, you see a lot of character. It's quite safe compared to a favela, really. So if you don't want to go to the favela, just come on over here to Lapa. And like I said, they have these Lapa Arches, which are a famous architectural design out here for many years. And they're actually an aqueduct that was built in the middle of the 18th century for the Carioca River to the population of the city. And as we continue to show you around, some people might be wondering how long it would take to do an itinerary like this. I would say 5 to 7 days in Rio should be enough to see everything on this list. Now for those of you who like churches, you can check out the Candalaria Church. And it did take a long time to build this church. It originally began construction in 1775, and that continued until the late 19th century. Now let's head back up towards Corcovado, but this time we're not going to go all the way up. We're going to go to the Mira, Donna, Marta, which is a great lookout point. You can easily drive up here. You get views of the Christ Redeemer from a distance, but you also get to see all of the beaches looking down into the central area. You can see Sugarloaf Mountain, and then you can see Ipanema and Copacabana in the distance. And as you can see, looking all across Rio from this lookout point, it's very green, and they do get quite a bit of rain. And now I have a couple more cathedrals to show you real quick. You have the Metropolitan Cathedral, which is this unique architectural design. And then if you go up the mountain a bit, you can come to another beautiful cathedral or church. This one is the Basilica of Penha. And so you can see you get great views. It lights up nicely at night. And on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this things to do in Rio de Janeiro video. If you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing to this channel. Thank you to all of our channel members, by the way. And we will see you guys on the next one. You can actually watch right here. I'll put some links to some more South American videos.